over here and getting.
But I really gotta win it. If it ain't been done yet. From the heel to the neck, get ready, be set. You already know what's next. Check the progress, check the progress, check the progress. Feeding off the success. Yes. From the heel to the neck, get ready, be set. You already know what's next. Check the progress, check the progress, check the progress. Feeding off the success. Yes. Yeah.
Surprises. J Chanel, show and tell, all facts, no lies, streak. Get your life, cause I'm the type to come to it at 9 quick. Eyes on me, what you care for? Watching me, baby, care for. If you ain't a fan, where the cameras? Hide in the back with the bellboys. My circle so restricted. Hands raised like it's your religion. When I sleep, pay close attention. Fake friends out here protected. Get your life, baby. I got mine, why you can serve my mind, baby. Feeling me, that's why they killing me. Get your life. Get your life, baby. I got mine, why you can serve my mind, baby. Feeling me, that's why they killing me. Get your life.
Focus there.
Watch them cause they after me like a pot of gold. I'm not for play. Ask Keisha if you don't know. I'm a little bit cray. Approach me, you better be right. If you don't come correctly, you can catch these hands tonight. Eyes on me, what you care for? Watching me, baby, care for. If you ain't a fan, where the cameras? Hide in the back with the bellboys. My circle's so restricted. Hands raised like it's your religion. When I sleep, pay close attention. Fake friends out here protected. Get your life, baby. I got mine, why you can serve my mind, baby. Feeling me, that's why they killing me. Get your life.
Get your life.
Get your life, baby. I got mine, why you can serve my mind, baby. Feeling me, that's why they killing me, baby. Get your life,
boo.
Good morning, good evening, good night, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's your nighttime, right time DJ Music here with another episode of the Chop Shop. Y'all see what we talking about today? Let me put it up on the screen for you here. How y'all doing? How we doing on this Thursday afternoon, 6:20 p.m. here Eastern Standard Time? This is what we're gonna chop it up about today, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, it's in the news right now. Letitia James. We heard from the parents of young Karmelo Anthony. We gonna talk about what's going on in the news, and of course, tragically, folks, here we are again with another school shooting. This time at one of the prominent universities in Florida, FSU, near and dear, because one of my sisters graduated from that particular campus. So again, we'll do a little report on that. I wish I can say there was no loss of life, but unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, as the report will tell you a little bit later on that we'll cover, there was two young folks that tragically lost their life, 5 injured, and 1 in critical condition right now in the hospital. But we'll cover all of that. And also, folks, in the news, Letitia James, she had a riveting speech about Donald Trump and how the Trump regime, because I won't really call it an administration, how the Trump regime is basically, it's an all-out assault on black folks. I know we've had this conversation before, and some folks said it's an all-out assault on poor folks as well. But I gotta say, I don't see too many poor white folks being removed from the legacy of white America. But I see a whole lot of that happening from the Pentagon to the history books. I guess when they said make America great again, I guess they forgot to mention that black folks was a part of that, okay? But anyway, we'll cover that. Letitia James as well, like I said, she's in the news, of course. I guess Donald Trump and his cronies are playing tit for tat. They are, trying to bring the Attorney General of New York up on charges saying that she inappropriately bought some real estate, and she hid the fact of it. Isn't that ironic? The very same thing that Donald Trump was accused of, and should have actually been accused of and found guilty of. How that's working for you folks? Does this not sound like there's a little tit for tat going on over there? And again, we'll talk about the young Karmelo Anthony situation. The young man's parents spoke up, and some of y'all are going to like what she has to say, and some folks are going to completely disagree what you have to say. I'm not here to agree or disagree. I'm just here to report the news there, ladies and gentlemen. Also, everybody's been talking about this situation where the young man Austin lost his life, and of course we all know the perpetrator. But it seems to be, I heard a lot of folks saying that race has nothing to do with this. Well, I beg to differ with you. Race has everything to do with this. Race is the foundation of this country. So I beg to differ with anyone who says that race has nothing to do with this particular case, because it absolutely positively does. And even some of the more prominent experts, news folks that we watch our news from, will tell you that this has everything to do with race, this particular case and a few others. But now, and what we'll also talk about, folks, around February 11th, a young man by the name of Nikita Casap killed his parents, and it was not discovered until February 28th that he had been walking around that house with his 2 dead parents. We're going to talk about that as well. He was 17. He was 17 years old. But I'm wondering why that's not been in the news. I'm wondering why that's not plastered all over the internet like Karmelo Anthony. Wonder why that's not the focal point of white America. How did this 17-year-old manage to murder his parents, walk around the house for weeks, drive a car that the neighbors knew that he did not have a driver's license for. Managed to drive several thousand miles before he was caught and apprehended. That's a 17-year-old. And folks has said that race has absolutely nothing to do with what's going on in today's climate. Race has everything to do with it, folks. Again, this country was built on racism. We don't need to go back to slavery. We don't need to go back to Jim Crow. It's right here in front of us. We're seeing a systematic dismantling of Black excellence, Black greatness. Anyone cares to disagree with me, go look for yourself. Go look at some of the Black things that they have erased. The war heroes. The great baseball player, Jackie Robinson. And even some of the friends of us, the pale-colored folks, that on the side of righteousness, that has that sense of morality, they'll agree with a lot of things that I say. It's all about race. But they got a word for them, folks. Well, I got two words for them. We'll talk about it a little bit later on. But first, let's get to this. Let's get to this Karmelo Anthony. All right, let's dive into this first. Y'all come on in and sit a spell. If you're missing anything so far, of course, I'll leave this up and talk about it. Hello to everybody that's jumping in. I'm not focused on the chat room right now, so if I don't see you in there, if I don't mention you, my bad right now. But I'm trying to operate here. I guess it's good to be focused, but I need to pay attention to the chat room too, huh? Anyway, let's get on with this.
Which was crazy. Today they reduced it to 250 grand, which is, still sizable, but he wound up getting out. All right, so Mark, first of all, the idea of race, I mean, you lived it with Zimmerman in a big way. There's so many people who believe that that's why Zimmerman wound up beating that case. But what do you see here? What are your questions? What will matter?
Oh, no, it's definitely a consideration. It always is, whether it's a sort of obvious what we're doing or the implicit one, because we all carry these implicit biases with us that perceive or impact how we perceive an event.
Absolutely. We all carry implicit biases. On my Instagram feed for about the last 2.5 weeks now, there's been an ongoing conversation. And the conversation that I jumped into was them talking about this young kid right here. They were on Instagram and some of the other social media platforms calling this kid a monster, that he should be summarily tried. Why is it taking so long for them to charge him and all this other stuff? But on the other hand, like I said, this kid named Nikita that walked around, that drove all over the country, that killed his parents, no mention of this. These are two 17-year-olds. I'm not even bringing Austin into the picture yet, but these are two 17-year-olds. Folks said, don't compare Kyle Rittenhouse to this 17-year-old. Okay, here's a comparison for you. Again, we'll get to what this 17-year-old, the other 17-year-old was up to. From a two-parent household, because we'll hear it must have been a single-parent household. Well, what we're going to cover, there's only one person that was in a single-parent household, and it's not the young man on the screen. Where you at, Manosphere? Where you at with all these folks that saying that can't come at this kid saying that he was a hoodlum, saying that he was a school dropout, that says that he came from a broken home? The norms that how y'all would try to paint this kid, he doesn't have a criminal record. The norms of what y'all would try to criminalize this kid, you don't have any. So what they do is they go find the worst picture that they can of this kid, his mugshot, and they post it all over media, all over the media sites, the news, mainstream news. This is the picture that you see everywhere, this kid's mugshot. In the meantime, unfortunately, my condolences go out to the family, but the young man that summarily was that left us, all we see is pictures of him being great. Loving family photos. Well, the family couldn't have been too loving. Again, no disrespect. The family couldn't have been too loving if the mother was raising these two big, hefty kids by herself. Where you at, Manosphere? Why we hadn't called out the single mommy yet? Why we ain't talk trash about the single mama that raised these two twins? Because I guarantee you, if Carmelo Anthony was raised by a single black woman, Lord have mercy. The commentary that would be going on. Let's continue.
Now, what's really it's going to come down to, and I disagree with the guy who said this is not a self-defense case yesterday. I think he said it. This is definitely a self-defense case because it all.
You hear it from yourself. A tried and true lawyer, not a YouTube creator, a content creator, a lawyer said this is definitely a self-defense case. A lawyer. I've heard too many of you YouTube content creators saying that this is not a case of self-defense. It's always a case of self-defense. It always is when being accosted. It always is. That's not my words, and you'll see what I mean.
Always is one until you look at the facts of the case and compare the two. You have to compare who was the initial aggressor. Was it an aggressive act for him to go up and say, get away from the tent? Did he do more than that? My understanding was maybe he touched him and put hands on him. Granted, that makes the decedent in this case maybe the initial aggressor. But you really still then have to look at whether or not Carmelo Anthony responded with appropriate force. He used a deadly weapon.
And that will be true. That's for the courts to decide. But for everyone to run around and say that this is not a case of self-defense, yes, it is. It'll be up to courts to decide whether he used too much force. But that will be hard to prove. It's like, and I'll give you a prime example of this. It's hard to prove to anyone that your back hurt. No one can tell you that your back don't hurt. And it will be hard for an actual jury, and I'm only guessing because I'm not a lawyer, but it would be actually hard for an actual jury to say, I wonder what level of being afraid was he at. I can't determine that for young Carmelo Anthony, and no one in the audience can either. The only person that can say that, hey Cassandra, how you doing? I peeked over in the chat room. Good to see you. Welcome in. Welcome in. Is Carmelo. But again, let's go back to the picture. Notice again. Hey Jalen, how you doing? Good to see you. Notice in every picture that you'll see, again, my condolences go out to the family. But every picture that you'll see of young Austin here will be a picture that, would be in the Ring of Honor somewhere. You know what I mean? But every picture that you will see of Carmelo Anthony will be either his mugshot or some unflattering picture. That's the news. That's one of those, what they call those implicit biases. Let's continue.
And whether or not he was in imminent fear of great bodily injury, that's the standard in Texas and most every state, to determine whether or not his actions, the way he perceived him, the way Carmelo Anthony perceived him when he took out that knife and stabbed him. The good part is if the decedent was the aggressor initially. The bad part for Carmelo, if in fact it's true that he sort of said, touch me and you'll see, because that's that aggression, that's that predisposition towards violence that doesn't have a place in a true self.
And that's what they'll use against any one of us that's of a darker persuasion. That preconceived notion that we as black men and women are inherently violent. There was absolutely no reason for this particular person that was just speaking to use that. There's no inherent. Hey, ABT, how you doing? Let me back that up just a little bit. I want y'all to hear that again. There would be absolutely no reason for this lawyer to say this. Let's listen again.
Said, touch me and you'll see, because that's that aggression, that's that predisposition towards violence.
That's that predisposition towards violence. Who is he talking about? Now, you'll hear a little bit later on from the surviving twin of Austin that actually Austin, or even the twin himself that's still surviving, could have possibly been the aggressor. And also, there is other accounts. I didn't grab each and every one of them, but there's a lot of accounts now because everybody wants to react on the first impression of something, which I kind of tend to like to sit back and wait to see what everybody else is doing and what's saying, and then pick amongst what's right and what's wrong about it. But now there's enough folks out there that's saying that the twins were the aggressors. There's enough folks out there saying that. Let's continue.
That doesn't have a place in a true self-defense case.
What's the most important question for you in this, Mark? And then I want the same from you, Professor, if you have one. Go ahead, Mark.
Sure. Who truly was the initial aggressor? How did this unfold such that if in fact he had a...
And again, the YouTube folks, everybody has a say. So everybody knew that it wasn't there, knows what happened. Everybody knew what happened. It had to be. He was the aggressor. He shouldn't have been there with a knife. Well, let's back this up to all of us folks that went to high school. Now, all of us that may have went to that did some kind of sports or had a job after school or something like that. Did you not carry a Swiss Army knife or a little pin pocket knife? I know I did. I didn't carry it to use it on nobody. I just carried it just in case. You might want to use it for this. You might want to use it for that. You might want to have to cut a string or something. You might want to do anything with it, but you're not using it for the purpose of trying to hurt someone. And you know, Cassandra, I've been saying that, and folks look at me that like I'm crazy when I say that. But a lot of white folks think they got a right to. I know we kind of soften the blow by calling them Karens, but some of these white women believe that they got a right to. Some of these white men out here believe they got a right to tell you where you can and can't be. Maybe in the 60s, y'all could get away with that. Maybe in the 70s, y'all could get away with that. And maybe even on up until the early 80s, y'all could get away with that. But these are not our grandparents. These are not our uncles and our aunts. These children, these kids these days is not taking that shit. It's a different breed of black children out there now. You can say what you want to, but the idea of getting ran up on and getting beat up because I'm somewhere you don't think I need to be, them days is over with. Again, that's another one of the things that's permeating through the YouTube streets. Why was he under the tent? It makes no difference why he was under the tent. The mere fact that that's a public place. He can be anywhere. Again, I'm gonna go take y'all back to high school. How many of y'all sat on the opposing folks' bleachers just cause? That's part of being in high school. Those kids, again, folks don't want to acknowledge what possibly could be. And that's why I'm trying to bring it back to the high school level now. High school, everybody that went to high school, whether you're male or female, I guarantee you ain't got to tell me, but you know the name of the school bully. I'll bet money on that. I know I do. We had two predominant school bullies. And I remember both of them. And they didn't stop fucking with you until you either fought back or you gave them the what for. I think the other twin might have initiated the whole thing, to be quite honest with you. And see, that's another thing that folks don't want to mention. It's always what the black kid did. But understand something. The two twins were not under the tent where the incident happened. They came from somewhere else. There we go. Jalen, there you go. A cheerleader. When I was in high school, I was in ROTC. So every Tuesday and Thursday, folks, I know I was going to catch it from the bully because I had to wear a uniform. And back when I was in high school, anything other than some blue jeans or something designer, you was considered a square, busting out of L7. So that was the reason for the bully to target you. So all of us got somebody in our, what's the movie Back to the Future? That whole movie was based on a bully. So you're not going to tell me when you was in grade school, I can even take it back to the far as grade school. You're not going to tell me when you was not out on the playground, you saw a little group of a little semi gang. The bigger kid out there got a couple of cronies around him, and they would walk through the playground kicking people's balls and taking shit like that. This is part of school. The difference is, and folks can agree and disagree with me, but I've been here a lot longer than some of y'all. Back then, all we could do was take it, because if you raised your hand in the wrong way to somebody, somebody was coming to your house. If you said the wrong thing to somebody, somebody was coming to your house. If you looked the wrong way, somebody was coming to your house. But let's continue with this.
Reason to believe in great bodily injury was imminent. Was it reasonable? Was he pushed? Was he shoved? Was he hit? Because don't forget, it's the moment, but you are allowed to respond to great deadly force with your own great deadly force, or at least your perception of great deadly force. So it's really going to be fact-based. I do think that race, it's going to be played out on social media. It also is going to be played out in a courtroom if you ever get there, because in today's day and age, I would argue that someone like Karmelo Anthony now has a heightened concern over the past few years and the way we've sort of degraded.
Now, I want y'all to understand this. This is the part to where I disagree with a lot of these internet gurus that say the past don't make a difference. Because if you don't learn from your past, you're not going to be aware of anything. Yeah, and you're absolutely right there, Miss Jalen. There are a lot of bullies on these YouTube streets. A lot of bullies. And see, this is another thing, Jalen. If they really wanted the truth to come out, if they really wanted to, that some of that footage would have been leaked already, don't you think? But we can go back to the cases of what the guy just said. This idea of of course, there we know about police brutality. You heard him mention earlier about George Zimmerman. I heard somebody say that Trayvon Martin went into the house and then came back outside to confront George Zimmerman. Do y'all understand how idiotic that was? That this was a black man that said that. Like I said, all the Yassa bosses came on the boat with us too, folks. Not only was there some great black men and women, there's a whole lot of Yassa bosses that came on them boats with us too. They stole some of them loose niggas too. For any black man to get up and say that after we all know what happened, only thing that we disagree with is the fact that George Zimmerman is still walking around, not in jail, because he killed that kid. You can say what you want to, and you can say that race was not a part of that particular outcome. Yes, it was. You can say race was not a particular part of the O.J. Simpson trial. Yes, it was. But again, I ask all these folks that want to talk about young Karmelo Anthony, why are we not talking about this 17-year-old that killed his mama and his daddy and sat around the house videotaping them? Oh, we ain't got to the good part yet. Just warming up. Just warming up. Let's go.
Some of the progress we thought we made over the past decade, as far as how we're treating young black males in the system, such that maybe he would have felt more preyed upon than he otherwise would. Interesting, you're right. We're going to be talking about this for a long time.
Professor, what do you got?
Hello? Oh, I'm
Professor?
sorry.
Yeah.
Now, if you folks don't know this guy right here that's about to speak, that's Alan Dershowitz. And if you think this man does not know the law, whether you agree or disagree with him? He's about to say something that's going to make a whole lot of folks mad. Y'all listen.
Professor.
This is all about who the jury is. This will all be determined by the jury. If the racial factors were reversed, if a white man had killed an unarmed black man, everybody would be on the reverse side of this. We live in a society where everything is judged by race. You know, the Bible says to judges and
we live in a society that everything is judged by race. And it absolutely is. It depends on what that jury and how that jury is made up and what's the ratio of it to determine whether Karmelo Anthony will be convicted or not. We all know this, but yet there's some people that believe that Karmelo Anthony is not going to get a fair trial. Well, guess what? There's absolutely no way that he can get a fair trial because too much is said. First thing that would happen is the policeman should have never released that statement because he was underage. Yeah, Ms. Jalen, I heard about the Menendez brothers. If y'all don't know about the Menendez brothers, they killed their mama and their daddy for some money. And they try to make it seem like these two grown men was being, SA'd by their daddy. That's why they killed them. Fake crocodile tears in the courtroom. And they up for parole 35 years later. I'm going to use my Samuel Jackson. Yeah, they deserve to be in jail. Let them burn in hell in jail. Yeah, he's still out there. He's not much a factor in the law places, but they still call on him from time to time there, Cassandra. All right there, ABT. Thank you very much. Be safe out there. I think you might be driving both hands on the wheels. I'm reading some of you guys' comments here. And it absolutely is, folks. If you don't think so, if you don't think everything in this country is built around or centered on race, you are absolutely naive to yourself. You're being naive. But let's continue.
prosecutors don't recognize people, just do abstract justice. We're way, way, way beyond that. If the racial elements were reversed there, virtually all the people who are calling for him to be acquitted would be calling for him to be convicted, and vice versa. Let's not kid ourselves. We live in a race-conscious society, and jury selection, which, of course, your other guest is so brilliant at and did so well in the Zimmerman case, is determine the outcome of this case, without a doubt.
Now, did you hear that?
For me,
did you not hear that? If it not had been for the jury selection, George Zimmerman would be sitting in jail. He didn't say that I didn't think George Zimmerman was guilty or not. None of that played into basically what he's saying. None of that made a difference. It was all about what the jury thought. It was about those 12 folks that set up on that jury. And that guy that's sitting on the other side with the dark suit on was the orchestrator of the was the orchestrator of the jury that got George Zimmerman off. Because if that jury was predominantly black, especially if that jury would have had 6 black women on it, one or two things would have happened. They'd have retried his ass, or he'd have got convicted. They'd have had 7, 8. Yeah, we wouldn't be talking about George Zimmerman. He wouldn't have been running around talking about selling Skittles and shit, making money off that kid's corpse. Because that's exactly what he's doing. That's why he's famous now, folks. That's why he's famous. But let's continue.
it's as simple as, how do they feel about this proposition? Bringing a knife to a fist fight.
Right.
Mark O'Mara, we'll see what happens. Alan Dershowitz, thank you very much. Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com.
And if you don't know about Chris Cuomo, folks, uh, I like his news reporting, but again, he was a little bit biased about when his brother was taking was stealing shit was. But anyway, let's get to our next. Let me remove this from the screen here. And I want to say, let me peek in back here over to the chat room. Hey there, Jay Lynn. Hey, Cassandra. Sakpa say, how you living, good brother? Who else we got up in ABT? How you doing? How you doing? The folks up in the clouds, I appreciate y'all hanging out there with me. It's just not here to change your mind, folks. Not here to say, hey, you wrong about this or you wrong about that. I'm just here to give you a different perspective about how. Yeah, yeah. Listen, if they let Donald Trump back in office, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. Not surprised at all. But let's go on to our next thing here. What shall we do here? Okay, folks. Remember, since we're still on Karmelo Anthony, remember a lot of folks were saying that a 17-year-old should be given the benefit of it. It should not be given the benefit of the doubt, especially in this case. He brought a knife to a fist fight. Well, my question to anyone that's listening or that can answer this question, when are you supposed to start defending yourself? When you start bleeding? When you get cracked over the skull a couple times? Is that the best time to defend yourself? If you can't run, if you feel like you're cornered, is that the best time for maybe for them to get a few stumps in? No, he did not plan on using it. According to the police, you would not ask, is he okay? If he thought he really hurt that kid. Again, I'm speculating. But I don't think he meant to injure the kid in that way. Unfortunately, there's sometimes, when dare I use this, when the Grim Reaper comes for you, no man know the hour. No woman know the hour. The Grim Reaper has no age limits. It has no time on it. And he definitely does. He definitely does. You can see this. You can actually see that in the interview that someone did with him. That he's definitely the kid is shook up. This is something that's going to, whether he's convicted or whether he's acquitted, this is something that's going to follow him for the rest of his life. Now, what I want to say is all the outrage about the family about them raising money to get their son out of jail. A whole lot of folks got something to say about that. And again, folks would tell me, well, they would say, well, you can't compare Kyle Rittenhouse to this particular situation. Kyle Rittenhouse had a reason to be there. Well, first, let me address that. Kyle Rittenhouse was 17 years old. In that particular state that Kyle Rittenhouse was in, the only way that he could have a long gun or a rifle, what's up there, Rudel? The only way that he could have a long rifle or anything else was under the strict supervision of adult or a parent or a guardian, basically an adult. Once Kyle Rittenhouse left the sanctity of the adult or whoever was supervising him with that gun, with that long rifle, they was breaking the law. That would be called contributing to the delinquency of a minor, because at that time, Kyle Rittenhouse was 17 years old. So in essence, once he crossed the state line from where he came from, and he did not come there with his parents or his legal guardian, he in essence was breaking the law. The parents was in essence breaking the law. Now, again, yes, he did. Now again, and that's a good. We're trying to get to that. Y'all got a lot of y'all quick to put right what I'm thinking at that time. So I'm trying to get to that. But I was coming right to what you was saying about he took the knife out of the bag. We're gonna get to that. But I kind of lost my train of thought. So we'll go ahead with this, folks. Here we go right here. This was just, I was on Kyle Rittenhouse. So here we go. Let's get back to Kyle Rittenhouse. Also, I heard some folks say that Kyle Rittenhouse was hired as a person to guard a particular building or establishment. Well, because Kyle Rittenhouse was 17 years old at the time of his infraction, you could not hire him to be an armed guard. Not in that state anyway. So again, that argument goes out the window just simply by saying that Kyle Rittenhouse was hired to be an armed guard. That's impossible because he was 17. Now, he could have been hired as a guard. Yeah, he could have stood out front, but he couldn't have a long gun or a pistol. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks. Y'all go look it up for yourself. I ain't going to do everything, but correct me if I'm wrong. So those who want to say that Kyle Rittenhouse was 100% correct, he could have, as security, he could have had a stick or a flashlight, but they could not hire him as a security guard, with an armed security guard. That's for sure, just based on his age. That's just bottom line to that. But let's go on to the next thing here. Now, here's another 17-year-old that should be in the news, folks, but instead, everybody is focusing in on Karmelo.
Murder of his parents. And that's not all. Bombshell details in a new criminal complaint, including alleged communications about his plans to someone in Russian on a covert messaging app.
17 years old, folks. Unfortunately, those are the two folks that, at the hands of this 17-year-old, back on February 11th, met their demise.
And allegedly filming his parents' dead body after he allegedly
same state, Wisconsin, Waukesha County, if that's in Wisconsin.
Killed them. We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. "17-year-old Nikita Casap is now facing 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of hiding a corpse, and there is a lot to unpack in this case. Here's the teen appearing in court in Waukesha, Wisconsin today. He was arrested in Kansas on February 28th after allegedly fleeing on a multi-state road trip, driving his stepfather's stolen VW Atlas. Police say that the bodies of Don Meyer and Tatiana Casap were found inside their home on February 28th. Meyer is Casap's stepdad. Tatiana is his mom. Meyer's mom, who lives in Massachusetts, had called police in Wisconsin to do a wellness check on her son's house. She said that she and Meyer's sister received text messages from Donald that they just found odd. When police entered the house, they found Meyer dead in his office with a gunshot wound to the back of his head, and Tatiana also shot dead. Prosecutors say she was shot in the...
Now, what's ironic about this, ladies and gentlemen, this happened February 11th. But they didn't catch him until February 28th. But that's not it. There's a whole lot of see what I told you? There's a whole lot to unpack, folks, here, because you'll see what I'm talking about. And yes, Jalen, yes, you can be hired as a 16 to 17-year-old. You don't need a work permit for that. You're absolutely right. But as far as a gun permit to work as an armed security guard, you do need a permit for that. I think that's in all 50 states. Yeah, I do believe so. I don't think you could be 17 and be as an armed guard. But let's continue here.
Torso and at close range in the neck, which killed her. Now, even though Don and Tatiana's bodies were found on February 28th, police believe they were killed on February 11th. According to this new criminal complaint, Tatiana went to night school at a local university on February 11th. Video shows that she was in the same clothing from that night when she was found on the 28th. The last few times that Don was seen, one was on a video call with his boss on the 11th in the afternoon, then later that day at the gym. The complaint says that Nikita's last time attending class at his high school was the 11th. And up until that point, a school resource officer said he had perfect attendance.
Okay, the school resource officer says he had perfect attendance. So nobody from February 11th to February 28th went to call the parents or called anybody saying, why your son ain't in school? He just stopped coming from perfect attendance to stop coming, and that didn't raise a red flag for anyone. But wait, there's more.
Prosecutors say that Casap moved to the U.S. a decade ago from Moldova with his mom.
The immigrants. Why we ain't talking about that? Why we not talking about this immigrant family instead of the immigrants that Donald Trump trying to ship back to countries that they don't belong to? And talking about he can't bring them back. Why we ain't talking about this immigrant family? This immigrant cat right here that killed his parents, went on a driving spree. Actually, he had to have lived with his parents for a while because, wait, there's more.
He was seen apparently as a good student at his high school. In December 2022, he was Student of the Month at Waukesha West High School for the health department. But we learned today in this criminal complaint that it was a different story on social media. A female classmate of Nikita's is now referred to in this case as Witness A.
Y'all listen to this. Now, wouldn't y'all as a female or just anybody in particular find what we're about to listen to strange and not report it to somebody? Listen to this, folks. But this is from the mind of a 17-year-old. Where are the folks talking about this guy, this 17-year-old that we're going to find out?
Witness A told police that Nikita added her on Snapchat and wanted to be more than just friends, which she didn't want. Nikita.
Now we can throw the incels in the pot. Look, we got everything. We got mayhem. We got murder. We got incels. And we got, so far, immigration all wrapped up into this one story. Why nobody talking about this instead of everybody doing streams about young Karmelo Anthony? All up in the DMs. We got the DMs going on too. That's right. We got them in the DMs, dropping DMs to chicks that don't want nothing to do with them.
Then allegedly unblocked and blocked Witness A multiple times, but eventually police say he started sending her messages about fascism and what he called gore edits, which were gory war and horror videos with
You don't like me? Gotcha, bitch. I'm gonna scare the shit out you.
Russian music blasting. Witness A also reportedly said that Casap talked about killing his parents and then would say that he wasn't going to follow through with it. Per the complaint, he also talked about wanting to know how it felt to, quote, not exist. Witness.
Okay, isn't that two things, folks? Whether friend or foe. Huh? Whether it's friend or foe. There, ladies and gentlemen, if somebody said, I'm thinking about taking out my parents or myself, wouldn't you want to alarm somebody? Maybe a school representative, a teacher, maybe the parents. Hey, look what your son sent me. Y'all might want to have a talk with him.
A claims that he said these things from December of last year to January of this year. Nikita also allegedly threatened to hurt Witness A if she told anyone about what he had said, telling her, quote, it wouldn't end well for her. Witness A said that she didn't think much of the conversations until Casap stopped.
Now, we know damn well in every horror movie, the white girl survives. So what the hell was you scared of? We know in every horror movie that's been out, Jamie Lee Curtis from who else? What's the young chick on I forgot her name, but they always survive. What was you scared of?
Showing up for school on February 12th. In the complaint, a neighbor told police that he noticed that Don Myers stopped shoveling his driveway after the 12th and that he saw Nikita driving away in Don's VW Atlas. Nikita doesn't have a driver's license. Eventually, officers arrested Nikita in the small town of Waukene, Kansas. He allegedly drove through multiple states and hundreds of miles away from Wisconsin. Officers pinged his parents' phones and say they were in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And inside that VW Atlas, when he was pulled over in Kansas, was allegedly a treasure trove.
Y'all listen to some of the stuff that he had, but you're absolutely right there, Miss Jalen. I agree with this 100%. If they stop letting these people with these multiple accounts that they can just come in and do what they want to do, making so many profiles and blocking their IP addresses, that is a start, because I know YouTube, I won't say I know for sure, but I'm sure a company like YouTube has a way of tracking your IP address to where they literally can block you from even using YouTube to even go live or to even talk. Not that you can't use YouTube, but you won't be able to do some of the shit that some of these folks be doing, some of these bully accounts, because that's what they make them for, just so they can go around bullying people. But I agree with you. I think that they should be checking them IP addresses. But let's continue. But again, folks, listen, as the announcer just said, listen to the treasure trove of shit that's in this trunk. Now, he was from Waukesha County in Wisconsin, made it 3,000 miles away. His parents' cell phone pinged from 3,000 miles away. 17-year-old. Why we ain't talking about this? Why ain't nobody ringing the bell about this 17-year-old? Why is everybody talking about Karmelo Anthony and his family? Why is his family getting death threats? Why we ain't talking about this, folks?
Of disturbing pieces of evidence. It includes $14,000 in cash, dozens of pieces of jewelry that belonged to Tatiana Casap, a Smith & Wesson .357 Magnum that police say was missing from the home in Waukesha that Don Meyer apparently owned. And there was also a camera in the trunk of the car. And according to the complaint, the memory card showed footage taken after Don and Tatiana were killed, and it allegedly shows Nikita going into the office where his stepdad's body was, covered in pillows and blankets, keeping candles lit around that dead body. The complaint says that Casap,
this kid was holding rituals. We got everything. I tell you, folks, this is one case for as much as going on in this particular case here, right here, folks. Why nobody talking about it? We got incels, we got immigration, we got people being disposed of. Now we got somebody desecrating the body by lighting it up and taking pictures of it, by putting candles around it. In the room. In the room, taking pictures. And y'all thought this was just, this gets worse.
Adjust the camera. So he reportedly knew it was in there recording, and that on one occasion, Casap takes a phone, holds it close to his stepdad's dead body, and says, quote, "So you can see him there. I can literally see the bleeping body there." It's unclear in this instant.
Who is he talking to? Now we got a case of who else done it. We know who done this part, but who is he talking to? Mystery and intrigue all over this little clip that I'm covering right now. Why none of the big YouTube content creators, instead of talking about my man Karmelo Anthony and the possibility that he could go to jail for a number of years for unaliving somebody, as y'all like to use? Why we ain't talking about this case, to where all the gory details is laid out in front of you? You ain't got to ask what happened.
Who Nikita was allegedly talking to. We do know that Nikita was allegedly speaking with someone in Russian on the app Telegram. The complaint says that an analysis.
I told you, mystery, murder, intrigue. Now we got Russian spies up in the mix.
Of Casap's phone shows that there was a message thread where Casap allegedly asks, "How long will I need to hide before I will be moved to Ukraine? 1 to 2 months. And the individual replies in Russian. Casap also allegedly says, quote, also, I probably should brush up on my Russian because I can understand just fine, but speaking is harder, LOL. Casap then asks, quote, so while in Ukraine, I'll be able to live a normal life, even if when it's found out I did it. Then this line. In Russian, he allegedly asks, quote, that includes the headphones as well, quality ones to protect hearing from gunshots of a .357 Magnum, just.
Okay, so if I'm listening to this part of it, it seems to me that he had not unalived his parents yet. He wanted to go get one of those sound suppressor things. If you go to a gun range, folks, you can tell the difference and how the difference in what a gun sounds like if without sound suppressors on or some cheap sound suppressors, I should say. There is a big difference, and believe me, the sound from what you hear from a gun registering. But he wanted to make sure he had the best pair. So it seems to me in this particular paragraph, he had not disposed of his parents yet. Right, this is crazy, Jalen. You couldn't have wrote a better script than this, folks. For all the content creators, you couldn't have wrote a better script than this. I wish I was better at editing and all this other stuff and breaking up, because man.
Making sure it's unclear at this point who this person was that Casap was speaking to on Telegram and where they're located. Detectives also say that Casap's phone had pictures of him holding that Smith & Wesson found in the VW Atlas that his stepdad owned, that picture taken allegedly on January 28th. Witness A also told police that Nikita reportedly told her that he was talking with a male in Russian through Telegram and they were planning to overthrow the U.S. government.
Okay, at which part of this did you not tell anybody yet, Witness A? Because it's obvious this just didn't happen last week. So at which part in time, Witness A, after this kid was telling you all this shit that you said, this ain't, this ain't really nothing. This is a nothing burger here. But yet you'll see some of these same people talking about if you think you see something, say something. It's better to be a live chicken than a dead duck. I guess she never heard that before, huh? Let's continue.
Government and assassinate President Trump. Today, Casap appeared in court to be arraigned on these new charges. He had been held on $250,000 bail until today and only charged with allegedly stealing his dad's gun and car as police investigated.
Right. Now listen to that. You find 2 people deceased in a house with gunshot wounds, but the first thing that they book him on is stealing some guns. Is that just to hold him? Well, if that's the case, the mere fact that he was a teenager driving underage with all that paraphernalia, that was enough to hold him right there. Thank you, Jalen. This is bigger than him. I was waiting for someone to say that. This is bigger than him. Y'all remember back in the day there was a show called I've made this reference before, but there was a show called The Americans, where they took these young Russian kids. When I say kids, I'm talking about toddlers, and they would bring them into American families to be adopted, but actually they are Russian spies, and they live as American lives. But they're telling everything, and no, they're not your Uber drivers. They're working in important parts of the government. That's what this show is based on. The Americans. This is my idea of what's going on right now, because as soon as I heard the plot thicken with the assassination of Donald Trump, maybe that's why it's not in the news. Maybe they don't want nobody to talk about this. Let's continue. We'll see if I get blocked or not after this.
Further, now that he faces murder charges, the prosecution asked for bail to go up to $5 million.
The state is asking for $5 million cash bail here, as previously indicated by defense and the commissioner. We are moving to dismiss 25 CF 435. We've now added new charges after further investigation into victim A and victim B's deaths and consolidated those previous charges with the new charges in 25 CF 598. In addition to the conditions previously requested at his last initial appearance, the state is also asking for no contact with witness A, as the defendant did threaten to kill witness A if she told anyone what he was telling her after he had given her information that he was speaking.
Well, I was wondering when that was going to come out. Witness A, now you scared? After he done killed his parents, now you think it's a good time to say something? But let me ask you, Jalen, I see you put the 5 million down there. To me, quite honestly, I think it should have been 10 million, 5 million per person. This is dare I say, this is a demon right here, folks. This 17-year-old is a demon. And I heard some folks refer to Karmelo Anthony that way, that he's a demon. Go over to, if you folks are on Instagram or what's the other one, TikTok, go and look at some of the feeds of what they're saying about this kid and his family. Go look what they're saying about the judge that reduced this kid's bail. But there's no screaming and yelling about to me, what should be at least $10 million bail. Before that, he was on $1 million bail. No mention of that. What say y'all? I think the bail should be higher. No one.
Speaking with someone from Russia. The state does believe he's an extreme flight risk here. He was found in Kansas with victim A and victim B's property. He's been speaking with someone in Russian about moving to Ukraine after committing these crimes. So the state is concerned that he's a flight risk if he is ever released. Thank you.
So I was not the court official in the 435 matter. So you indicated that you're asking for the same conditions that were requested in that matter. I can tell you what was ordered, but I don't know what was requested.
I can relay those to the court.
Okay.
With conditions that the defendant be ordered not to leave the state of Wisconsin and surrender his passport, and not to use or possess any dangerous weapons. Based on the information that I previously provided, that we do believe he's a flight risk. He has no living family now in the state of Wisconsin.
And there's your answer right there. He has no living family that we know of. So where's this money going to come from? Where's this bail money going to come from? They said he has no, there wasn't that they said he had an aunt or uncle somewhere. Right. I was thinking of this myself. The judge sitting up there, all casual. Excuse me.
He was also found with a high amount of cash in his person when he was found in Kansas. So based on all of that information, that is what we were requesting.
Here's what the defense argued.
We're asking the court to essentially maintain the same bail that Mr. Casap has been on, that was on the 435 matter, which is $250,000 cash. The reason that I think that's appropriate is obviously it's not an amount that can be attainable by Mr. Casap or anyone else who potentially could post that for him. He's been in on that cash for a significant period of time already at this juncture. In addition to that, noting obviously the serious nature of the allegations in the new criminal complaint, I would note that looking at the PSA tool.
Well, as the judge, I would have asked the question, ma'am, let me stop you for a minute. Where'd he get the $14,000 cash from? If he couldn't, am I aware to say that when he was stopped, that he had over $15,000 cash on it? We can start with let me get that.
It takes into account the fact that Mr. Casap has absolutely no history, his young age, and things of that nature, and that says that.
But with Karmelo Anthony, his young age or his history of not being a kid of violence, that didn't make a difference to a lot of people. He's some folks were saying just because of the one of the posts that struck me the most was one of the response to me was saying, you're just biased because of his color. Well, as I told him, you're the same way. I can tell that you are a white person, so aren't you biased to the person of color? And the answer, sir, is not the pot calling the kettle black. Of course, we all have biases. Of course, I don't. Am I saying that? Do I agree what the outcome of what happened? No, I don't. But I understand why it would happen. Not condoning it, but I understand as a black man, as a black man that was 17 at one time. I can understand. White folks sometimes feel they got a right to.
The presumptive pretrial release level would be a level 1. I think 5 million cash is abundantly high and not something that the court needs to order at this juncture. So we would be asking for 250,000 cash. I have no objection to the conditions asked by the state. However, I would note that on the 25 CF 435 matter, Mr. Casap did fill out the passport slip, and it's my understanding that the state is in possession of that passport.
Okay, folks, I'm not going to interject what the judge says, because what he's saying here is basically the argument that they was talking about with Karmelo Anthony, that they were upset that his bail was at a certain amount. But that argument that she just gave was the same argument that folks were saying that was BS. But let's see how the judge shoots that down.
Judge ultimately decided this.
I now have charged and alleged 2 first-degree intentional homicide, the highest counts that we have, quite frankly, in our country, is what's been alleged here. And not only can the court think about the totality of the circumstances, I routinely, it's not the first intentional homicide bail argument that I've heard, and I just don't understand. And maybe somebody can make me understand. And why aren't they utilizing the section found in 969.035? That's literally what it's made for. We're not even. I don't have to have the whole discussion as to whether or not 5 million is an appropriate amount for a child of 17, 18 years old, or if it's $250 or $10,000 or $100. He's alleged to have been charged. The district attorney's office can bring forward, something alleging underneath 969.035 sub 3. You can say he's not eligible for release. Provide the information. We can go through it, because when I go through this information, I look at this complaint. The subsequent investigation that whatever occurred after the first initial appearance seems to be extremely thorough. It seems to have additional information provided by a witness. It seems to have evidence that's been provided in this complaint of, they're indicating they've got video evidence, they've got communication, they've got transactions, they've got a litany of things. And I just don't understand, because it's not like if you don't get what you request in terms of the pretrial detention that you still don't get to argue bond, right? So I just don't understand. And maybe I'm taking my little 2 seconds to stand on my soapbox to try to figure out what's the amount. Is it 5 million? Is it 10 million? Is it 250? Is it 50? The reality, though, is this allegation, this young man that you would think would not necessarily have access to the sheer volume of funds that is being alleged inside of this complaint, besides the property that was there, the virtual currency that is being alleged, as well as what's alleged as he's connection with somebody. So his access to funds, I have no idea what they are. I don't know if he has access to 10,000 or 250,000 or 2 million.
Okay, and that's the part I wanted y'all folks to hear. There's no way of telling, because we know now that he was in cahoots with someone. He was talking to someone. Where did this money come from? Not only the cryptocurrency, but all the other assets that he had. This kid was definitely a flight risk. He said he was going to Ukraine. So what would make the defense ask for such a low bail? What would make her think that he could not pay that he would be going to a country that has no extradition at all? He's 17. He could blend in to be anybody in 5 years. A 17-year-old looks completely different at 30 to some of them anyway. But there's a whole lot of things here where a lot of these folks were saying that this kid had what was available to him, that Carmelo Anthony had the same resources. No, he did not. They didn't see this kid with $14,000, $15,000. This kid had no access to cryptocurrency. He was no flight risk. This was the son of a two-parent working household. And folks were screaming out to anybody who would listen that GoFundMe was raised to help for this kid's legal defense. Whether you say whether you want to, again, they don't see our children as children. They never have and never will. And that one example I used that no one can get past. You tell me how you can put a 14-year-old kid in an electric chair and tell me it's okay. The kid is so small that you literally had to put him on top of phone books so you could kill him, basically. Look up George Steiny in South Carolina at 14 years old. See what happened to him. But when you give them facts, all of a sudden it's always about the what aboutism. Well, what about that? What about this? Y'all always come at me with the what aboutism. The what about itism is this is a fact of American the racial epitaph of the American society. It is what it is. There's no way around that. So again, for folks to say that this is not a racially motivated crime, it is. It always will be. These was two white kids that thought they had a right to tell a black kid where he could sit. Whether you like that or not, it is what it is. Now here it is, we got this 17-year-old that got all kinds of money, got all kinds of wherewithal. What y'all talking about? Why are we not talking about this, folks? It's got everything. Courtroom drama, the judge dressed down with dreadlocks, with braids. Heaven forbid he got on a tan sweater. What y'all talking about? What y'all talking about? Why we ain't saying that this judge ain't qualified just based on his looks? Because that would be some of y'all's rationale and reasoning. Because he ain't got a robe on, he must not know what he's talking about. This kid gonna get off. This is a bail hearing, and oh, I forgot an earring too. This is a bail hearing. This is not to prove whether his innocence or his guilt, folks. A bond hearing is just that, to ensure one or two things. Either we're not going to let you out, or if we do let you out, you're going to put up enough money or your house or some property to make sure you come back. That's a bond hearing. That's what it is. Every crime in the world you can get a bond for, almost, except for child support. There's no bond for child support. Don't ask me how I know.
So the reality is I'm going to grant what the state's requesting, but in terms of a high cash bail, but it's not going to be $5 million. I don't even know how I'm going to attribute that. But I am going to give him a $1 million bail. I believe that that's appropriate.
So we have a lot to unpack in this case. Joining me now, former crime scene investigator Ed Wallace, also the co-host of the Crime Time YouTube channel with Judy Ron. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. We spoke when this story first broke and he was under arrest, yet to be charged with murder. Now he's facing these two charges among others. We'll talk about the bond situation in a moment, but we have this criminal complaint that we've read through. What's your reaction? There's just so much to talk about in this case after what we just learned in these 14 pages.
Yeah, so reading the 14 pages, I found that the investigators did a very thorough job here. Obviously, there's more to learn, then they probably have much more evidence than what's established in these documents.
Of course, there is the face of a demon right there, folks. This is how they walk in. Normally, most cases, if this was one of us, we wouldn't have been walking like this, folks. We wouldn't have been in there. We wouldn't have been in the courtroom. And this is one of the things that folks don't want to attribute to this society, that we say that black men or black women or black children are not treated differently by the justice system. We are. One of the things I'm going to talk about later on before I get out of here, the mere fact that Donald Trump is trying to make Letitia James, one of the good crime fighters out there, into a criminal. Why? Simply because she exposed him for him and that other mayor for their criminal activities. Alvin Bragg will be the next one that he comes after. Fonnie Willis will be another one that he will come after. All these folks that was trying to put Donald Trump in jail. Eric Adams, him. They got him. He's a puppet on a string, Jay Ben. He's a puppet on a string. When a judge dismisses the case without prejudice, that means they can always hold it against you. And always come back and hold you to the same crime. Oh, I'll fix you. You don't do what I say. Hey, judge. Hey, boss. He ain't working. But again, folks, this is one of those comparisons that folks say, okay, don't compare Kyle Rittenhouse to young Anthony. But again, there is no comparison in either case. Now, it's unfortunate that the young Austin lost his life, but when it comes to the legal ramifications of it, the bail was, whether you want to believe it or not, was set too high. He was not a flight risk. Nothing about him said flight risk, where in this case, everything was. There was no accomplice. There was no, dare I use the word premeditation to what young Anthony did. Folks want to say was premeditated because he had a knife. Again, go back to your high school days, folks. How many of y'all didn't have a little pen knife or a little pocket knife or one of those little multi-purpose things to where it had a screwdriver, Swiss Army knife where it had a screwdriver can opener? How many of y'all did? How many of y'all had your little, as we call them down here, pig stickers? So stop it with that business of he had no reason to have a knife. He had it in the proper place. Instead of his back pocket or his front pocket, he had it in his bag. Let's move on to the next thing here, there, ladies and gentlemen. Now, speaking of young Karmelo, this is from his mother, and finally they break their silence. So here we go.
Good afternoon. My name is Kayla Hayes. I am the mother of Karmelo Anthony. 3 years ago, my family moved to North Texas searching for a better life. Like so many other families, we wanted to give our children the future we did not have. My husband worked hard every single day to provide for us, to make sure we're in the best financial position possible. As a stay-at-home mom, I made it my life's mission to ensure our children are loved, nurtured, and supported every step of the way. In wake of this tragic incident, our family has been under attack. Whatever you think would happen.
Okay, where you at, folks? This is the dutiful wife, the stay-at-home wife to take care of the children. Isn't that what y'all all of y'all say y'all want? Here's a perfect example of it right now. You can't say that the mom was this baby mama that that wasn't home with the children. She was out working. Some more of those adages that y'all use to say that this kid was wrong. None of that you have as ammunition in this case. Absolutely none of it. Yeah, absolutely is her voice is shaking, and I can't blame her. Me personally, I wouldn't have said nothing. But I guess even with the pressures of the internet, sooner or later, it's best to say something instead of remaining silent. Because this business of getting death threats and all this other stuff, come on with it. Here we go.
Happened between Karmelo and the Metcalf boys. My 3 younger children, my husband, and I didn't do anything to deserve to be threatened, harassed, and lied about. The lies and false accusations that have been said about us, especially over the past week, has been overwhelming. The lies and their amplification put my family in danger, as well as everyone in our community, everyone involved in the investigation, from the police, the attorneys, and the court staff. Our address and my husband's previous employer's address has been put on all social media platforms. My husband had to take a leave of absence because he's afraid what may happen to our family. His mental health is deteriorating day by day. We have endured death threats. My 13-year-old daughter is afraid to sleep in her own bedroom because she's fearful of what may happen to her. And let me be clear, the claims that were used about the public donation to buy a home or anything else are completely false. We have not received a single dime from the Give, Send, Go fundraiser.
More of those lies that's been spread saying that the family was using some of the money that was some of what she's saying. I think she's not addressing black or white folks. She's addressing black folks. And that's absolutely who she's addressing, because there's a lot of us out here saying this. There's a lot of black folks out here right now saying that this money that she shouldn't be getting, because all she gonna do with it is buy her a house or gonna get her a new car, and next thing you know, she gonna stop visiting her son in jail when he goes to prison. They're just gonna move on. Right, and even the 13-year-old, completely innocent of anything that's happening, regardless of what you believe, right or wrong about young Mr. Anthony, has nothing to do with his mama, has nothing to do with his daddy, has nothing to do with his family, but you folks. Now tell me again, which part of this is not race related, folks? Which part of an internet gurus is this not race related? Because this is why they are attacking these children. If this was a black kid killing another black kid, I would not have a stream, because it happens every day. And that's a whole nother stream. But in this case, this was a black kid killing a white kid. And that's why it's in the public eye. That's why it's news. How dare you? No, a lot of these content creators are making it worse. Especially some of the more prominent content creators that are passing out these different fake scenarios about what's right and what's wrong. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not speculating. I can't speculate what's going to happen. Absolutely, South Passe. Even the judge got death threats. She had to shut down all her social media sites. She had to stop her phone from ringing, simply because she lowered the bail. And again, I understand, folks, bail is just that. It's just a promise to come back to court on the day that we assigned you. Does not determine your innocence or your guilt. Now, some folks raised some money. All the backlash that this couple here got, because some other folks raised some money in their child's defense. Isn't that what we're supposed to do as black folks? Okay, if the kid is found guilty, isn't that what the law is supposed to do? We say we're law-abiding citizens. Let law do what it do. You know why it's so much hell and anarchy right now? Because black folks know, depending on that jury, that kid going to jail. Y'all know it just like I do. Let's say it. Let's say it. Skin color has everything to do with what's going on right now. Because again, if these were two black kids that stabbed each other, how long did the young lady that clubbed the other young lady over the head with the baton, how long did that stay in the news? White folks talked about it for about 6 hours. We made stream after stream about it. Tell me I'm wrong. Right. Again, they can act like it wasn't a case of self-defense, but there's a prominent lawyer that says it had everything about self-defense. It was a self-defense case the moment those two boys walked up on him. But let her finish up here, folks.
And the co-founder has stated that clearly. In the reality, we were just notified yesterday that we could begin to withdraw funds. And it still takes several days to receive those funds once a request is made. I don't know why we are being targeted and discriminated against before a fair trial. Our son deserves the same rights under the law that everyone is afforded to. He's been raised in a two-parent home with structure, stability, love, and we put God first in everything that we do. We believe.
Isn't that what they say? Isn't that what Anton Daniel says all the time? There's no God in the house. That's why these children are where they are. That's why these little girls turn to the hoochie mamas. Huh? Y'all don't have this ammunition to throw at this young couple here with this 17-year-old, 13-year-old children. Y'all don't have that ammunition because she's got out in front of you. No more talk. Like my man Willie D says, no more talk. The normal shit don't work no more. Okay. Okay. We know who you're talking about. All right.
We believe in the Constitution. We believe in the laws of this state. But those laws must apply to all of us, not just some of us. To be clear, we will not speak publicly about specific details of what happened under the tent on that rainy and awful day. There's an active investigation that everyone involved wants to be full and fair. We believe in legal process, and that is where the truth will come out. To the family who experienced the loss, my heart truly goes out to you. To those who have supported my family, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We ask for your continued support, patience, and prayers as we navigate this difficult process. Thank you.
Again, folks, this was something not only affected the young lad, but this, as you can see clearly, it's going to affect this family for the rest of their life. This is something they're going to have to deal with. Do you think that these folks are going to feel safe in this neighborhood? Do you not think these folks are going to uproot themselves somewhere and have to start all over again? Yes, this is an unfortunate incident. It absolutely is. But this, folks, is not an isolated incident. Unfortunately, this time, somebody got hurt. Somebody got hurt bad this time. But the old adage goes, folks, keep your hands to yourself, because you can't tell a snake that once you reach out for it, how hard to bite you. And I'm not comparing him to a snake, but y'all understand what I'm saying is you can't tell somebody how hard to hit you once you hit them first. Not all the information is out, but we all know it. We all know what really went on. Yeah, I think they're probably going to move out of Texas altogether. I think altogether, South Passe, to be quite honest with you. But let me remove this here and go to. I think I want to do this next here, folks. What I want to do is I want y'all to hear the brother. Now, there's going to be a lot of things said here, folks, that's going to tell me. Dare I want to say that the kid told on himself? But y'all judge this for yourself, okay? Judge this for yourself.
Just because the kid was mad, my son is not here anymore. And I don't understand it.
Just tell me about what happened today.
I don't know. I got a phone call from Hunter. He was screaming that Austin had been stabbed. I was at work, and so I drove I work in Grapevine, so I drove up to the hospital straight away. I actually beat the ambulance there. Yeah, I saw them have him come out. He was on a lot of machines, and it didn't take long for them to come in to say that he had passed. So, not sure, senseless act of a boy that was in the wrong tent, and my son doing the right thing by telling that boy that he needed to be removed from where he was, and just doesn't make any sense. I mean, that's just because the kid was mad, my son is not here anymore.
Okay, there it is again, folks, thinking they having a right to. A kid was at a tent. Okay, it was raining. Okay, for some reason or the other, we as human beings, when we see raindrops, we run. We look for the closest local shelter, wherever it be, whether it be, if it's lightning, don't run up under a tree, okay? But we look for some kind of shelter if we run into a car, if we run into a house, but we don't take well to rain. Now, what went on, there was no actual track meets. They were in a rain delay. So the kid got caught out of the rain. To me, he probably ran under the closest tent to stop getting wet. So again, this is actual. I'm not making this part up. This is not ad lib for me. The two twins came from somewhere else to confront the boy that they saw sitting under the tent. So let me ask you, mother, what gave your sons the right to go over and ask that one kid, why was he there? If he thought that the kid was out of place, there were school officials there. There was folks that could have handled that. What right, mother, did your children have to play official in this particular instance? They had no right. None. They had no right to go tell this kid to move, or anyone else, whether it be him or anyone else, because that is a public venue, like it or not. So let's continue, Miss Lady.
Understand it.
Tell me about Austin. What do you want people to know about your boy?
He was the most amazing kid. Oh, so smart. He had college football guys looking at him to play in college. His goal was to play in college. He just wanted to play football. His life was going to the gym and working out and being a leader on his football team. And he just had such ambitions and a drive that it's hard to find in a kid.
And young Karmelo Anthony didn't. He was just almost a straight A student. He was heavily involved in sports. So why is this guy accolades? And again, my condolences go out to the family, but I got to call it like I see it. As you describing your deceased son, you are also describing young Karmelo Anthony. So what's all the victory all about this young black man? Go back to the playground, folks. Imagine, put yourself, I got to do this like in A Time to Kill. Close your eyes for a minute. Take yourself back to high school. Put yourself in a position to where these two big kids are walking towards you, telling you that you got to go for no reason. And you say, hey, leave me alone, man. I'm not bothering you. I'm just trying to sit here and get out the rain. Well, you don't belong here in this tent. And if I got to come over there and whoop your ass to move you, I will. Close your eyes. Starting to make sense now, huh? Put your hands on me again. Something gonna happen to you. The internet gurus and you folks that want to call this kid a monster, that's enough warning for me. Because that's exactly what I tell my sons. I don't like being touched. If you put your hands on me again, this is your warning. I'm going to be forced to defend myself. That's all the warning you need to give. There shouldn't have been no second chance at hitting me. But he was wrong for that. This is not, I expect that from white folks. No disrespect, but I expect y'all to be on the side of your brethren. But what despises me the most when I see these young brothers and these older brothers saying that this kid is a piece of shit and praising this other kid. How do we know that this other kid wasn't a bully in disguise? How do we know that? I bet if you go back to enough of those folks in that high school, you'll find out exactly what I'm saying is true. Because we all have had experiences with bullies. Tell me we haven't.
That it's hard to find in a kid. And he's just such a good spirit, and so many kids loved him, and his brother's lost his best friend.
They're twins, right?
Yeah, identical twins. Yeah. They are the best of friends.
Maybe on Friday, ABT.
I'm so worried about my son because he's going to have to face this world alone now because he had a brother that was with him the whole time, and now he's going to have to do it alone. And I'm just so worried about him. I really am.
Sak Passe, I agree with you on that. I wish he hadn't had poked the kid. I really wish he hadn't. Do I think, and what I think is really not, is really irrelevant, but do I think was a little bit excessive? That's not up for me to decide, but I wish he hadn't. I wish discretion would have been the better part of valor. Too many times our young people are quick to resort to violence instead of them knuckles, because that's how we would have solved it. Now, sometimes, like my man said in the Friday series, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But what's most important is you come back another day to fight again. So I say that to all you young folks that might be listening. To some of you old folks, ain't nothing wrong with taking an ass whipping sometime. Or it's not being a punk to walk away. It's not being a punk by backing down sometime. Again, I'll say it wholeheartedly. Discretion be the better part of valor. And probably ABT, probably my next live will probably be on Friday evening. Yes.
Welcome back.
Oh, I pushed the wrong one. My bad, folks.
Just because the kid was mad, my son is not here anymore, and I don't understand it.
Just tell me about what happened today.
I don't know. I got a phone call from Hunter. He was screaming that Austin had been stabbed. I was at work, and so I drove. I work in Grapevine, so I drove up to the hospital straight away. I actually beat the ambulance there. Yeah, I saw them have him come out. He was on a lot of machines, and it didn't take long for them to come in to say that he had passed. So, not sure, senseless act of a boy that was in the wrong tent, and my son doing the right thing by telling that boy that he needed to be removed from where he was. And
again, I'll ask you, ma'am, how was your son doing the right thing when it was so much easier for him to go get an official? Because from what I understand, they were all over the place. So your son was not right, regardless of how much you wanted him to be, ma'am. He was wrong. He should have gone to a school official. He should not have taken it upon himself to remove anyone, because that was not his place.
Sense. I mean, that's just because the kid was mad, my son is not here anymore, and I don't understand it.
Tell me about Austin. What do you want her to know about your boy?
He was the most amazing kid. Oh, so smart. He had college football guys looking at him to play in college. His goal was to play in college. He just wanted to play football. His life was going to the gym and working out and being a leader on his football team, and he just had such ambitions and a drive that it's hard to find in a kid. And he's just such a good spirit, and so many kids loved him, and his brother's lost his best friend.
They're twins, right?
Yeah, identical twins. Yeah. They are the best of friends. Like, just I'm so worried about my son because he's going to have to face this world alone now, because he had a brother that was with him the whole time, and now he's going to have to do it alone. And I'm just so worried about him. I really am.
Was Hunter with Austin today?
He was. They made him go away when they were doing CPR on him, but he was there when he was stabbed, and he was holding, I guess, the wound to keep it from.
But wait, folks, again, I'm not trying to be cynical or being disrespectful, but remember the first reports that we got is that his twin brother died in his arms. Again, not being disrespectful, but it's all about what you hear, what's factual and what's actual. The facts of the matter is, before the young man passed away, they tried to perform CPR on him, and he still passed away. So this idea that the kid passed away in his brother's arms, that is not factual. Yes, it's good for ratings, but we now know just from what the mother said that that's not true. And again, my condolences go out to the parents here, but no parent wants to lose a child, and I understand her grief. But all of this, there's no winner here, folks. There's no winner. Nothing about this says this should have happened.
He was holding, I guess, the wound to keep it from. He was trying to save his brother, but I think he said he saw when he took his last breath, and before the CPR came back in. So, for what I heard, he was unresponsive for 5 minutes. They were able to revive him a little, but I think it was too little, too late.
What can the community do for your family?
They need to support the kids at the school. Austin was loved by so many people. They need to know that there's other people out there for them and not against them, you know. And Frisco Memorial has got a football program it's in a process, and we want everybody to know that it's a family, and they're there together. So, but just to put your arms wrap around the support. This is Hunter. Did you want to talk to him?
Oh, man.
Hey, what's up there, HT Baldwin? How you doing, good brother? Good to see you. Let me read your comment. Hey, Mr. Music, salute. I'm still stuck on why Karmelo felt the need to carry something to protect himself. We're not getting the full picture of those brothers. I think we're about to, HT. I think we're about to. Now, pay attention to what you're about to hear from the brother, the other twin brother. Pay attention very carefully, folks. This is coming. What you're about to hear is coming from a 17-year-old. Okay. So be very careful of what you say, how you say it, and why you say it. Because once you say it on camera, especially in a high-profile case like this, you cannot take it back. This was a bad move, and I'm sure the lawyers told the mother such, that you should have not had this teenage boy on camera saying the things that he was about to say. Now, y'all tell me if I'm right or wrong. As someone's lawyer, would you have suggested this? Let's go. Let me move back over here.
Thank you. He's a good kid. We just found a little altercation, and that's really it. But he has a good heart. Everyone knows. Everyone around here knows he's a great kid. He just one mistake from that dude, and just took my brother. He didn't deserve it. No one deserves a loss from a family like that. I know people that lose their family members all the time, but I just didn't know it's gonna be mine so soon. My best friend and my brother my whole life, but if y'all could just like, not y'all, sorry, just like thank y'all for just comforting us, and like the Frisco area has been comforting my family and me. And I just really appreciate everything that everyone's done. It's a really hard loss, but we're gonna get through it with my family. So we'll just stay together. I mean, our relationship is really the tightest I've ever seen in somebody, like between two human beings. I mean, we did everything together, clean the dishes together, do the yard work together, sports, you name anything in the world, it's always us two and one thing. So you're always just basically one person.
You guys just a few minutes apart?
4 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Austin was first. by 4 minutes. He got stuck in me.
So technically, your bigger brother.
Yes, ma'am. He does a lot of big brother stuff around. He's always on my back. Even if I'm in the wrong, he'll always take my side no matter what. It's just really hard.
He'll always take.
Someone that
Okay.
cares for me
Let
that
me,
much.
let me pause that right there. He'll always take my side no matter what. A good defense lawyer or a good prosecutor will rip that statement apart. That regardless of whether this kid knows or not at 17, he just made himself culpable. He just made himself as we now know that these two twins came from another area. Now I want y'all to understand, you see two big white dudes coming at you, 225 pounds at 17 years old, mean they're still growing. And they got a mad look on their face. Now you hear the brother saying his brother had a good heart. Well, a good-hearted person would have understood that it was raining and said, hey, man, right after the rain stops, we're going to need you to move. Appreciate it. I understand why you're here. But when the rain stops, could you move on? Good-hearted person would have done that. A good-hearted person would have not confronted it the way he confronted. But can continue to listen to the brother.
What? Just passed away like that?
Mm-hmm. Your mom told me that you were there.
Yes, ma'am.
If you don't mind, what happened?
There was this kid, before I knew his name now, this kid was sitting under our tent at track. We asked him to move. He started getting aggressive and talking reckless. And my brother stepped in and said, you need to move. And he's like, make me move. Austin grabbed his backpack.
Hold it right there.
I tried to whip around as fast as I could, but I didn't see the
Hold
stab.
Up. Okay. Again, he says Austin grabbed his backpack. So that negates the fact that the kid, young Anthony went for the knife first. Austin grabbed his backpack first. Austin, folks, though he is deceased, just out of his own brother's mouth, we now know that Austin or the twin that's speaking were in fact the aggressors. The kid, as they said, the kid was mouthing off. Austin grabbed his bag. There's no disputing that, folks. No disputing that.
But then I look at my brother, and then I'm not going to talk about the rest. So just that's just what I saw, and I try to help him, but
it was just senseless.
It was really senseless. Really, I don't know why a person would do that to someone just over that little argument. It's just crazy in this world nowadays how people just up and do that. Like that man has a family. That man has people that care about them all the time, and
And it's always, you don't see how people could up and do that, because again, no disrespect to my white brethren. Yeah, if what I'm saying to you makes you upset, then this is who I'm talking to. But some of y'all believe y'all got a right to. But this the surviving twin does not realize he is speaking on white privilege, because you don't see why somebody would do that. Well, in our community, I don't see why you would walk up on me. In the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, part of the 80s, we had to put up with this shit. He don't get it. It's that idea of, as me as a white guy, I can there's in no way possible that I could be wrong. I had every right to ask this kid to go remove himself from my tent, although I was a good-hearted person. Come on. Y'all wanted to drag a young Anthony through the mud. I don't have to drag this kid through the mud like y'all was doing him. I let his word speak for himself. Is there any more questions to some of you YouTube gurus and content creators that who was the aggressor? Is there any more questions on what self-defense is? Is there any more questions?
He was a strong man. He was a strong kid. Mm-hmm. Real strong. And I know I'm strong too, but he's a little stronger. But he did a lot for our family and a bunch of stuff that we just don't recognize. And it's just like, especially throughout our friends too, like everyone knew, like he was the peacemaker. That's what I'm saying. Like, heard someone who really makes peace, really calms peace down. He makes everything sail smoothly.
See, there again, the surviving twins makes himself out to be the aggressor, because the other twin, unfortunately, he's used to doing this. I'm used to stepping out in front of you because you always raising hell. How do I know that's possible? Because one of my older brothers used to tell me that all the time. I'm tired of stepping out in front of you. You're gonna have to start fighting for your own self. Stop raising hell and then think ain't nobody gonna bust your little ass sooner or later. You can't raise hell all the time and think your brother gonna have your back. Sometimes you might have to fend for yourself. Unfortunately for the surviving twin, I think he was raising hell. His brother stepped in the way, and unfortunately, because throughout his own mouth, folks, you can clearly hear him say that he and his twin brothers was the aggressor. I'm not guessing that. That's not coming from a news report. That's coming straight from his lips.
Because I get upset, but then he calms me down.
I get upset, but he calms me down.
Calms me down. He was just always there for me. So it's just really heartbreaking to see like how this happened.
Oh my goodness, you guys are how old are you?
17.
17. Yeah, they'll be 18 in July. I saw a lot of articles say you guys were 16. I wasn't sure. Yeah, they're 17.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Austin wanted to play football.
He would have played college football.
He would have, for sure.
He definitely used his mindset, his skill level, his IQ at the game was probably the best I've seen in the Frisco area.
Yeah.
As a linebacker, he was a stud, and I always try to fill those shoes with him and play with him. And I had a blast my whole life playing sports with him my whole life. It was just me and him always good against people. And our last year together was this year, so it's just really heartbreaking not to see him next year on the field.
I'm so sorry, my love. Oh my goodness. I saw that he won like linebacker of the year.
Again, just because I'll go back to and I'll say this, folks. If this was a black woman with 2 single children, Tommy Sotomayor, Anton Daniels, and anybody and their mama would have been calling these 2 kids hooligans. Yeah, they were probably going around picking fights with everybody. Again, go find the single mama in the group. Go find out what the daddy did, because that's what y'all would have done. Y'all would have talked shit about his daddy, saying his daddy wasn't around. Why y'all ain't talking shit about their daddy? Because their daddy wasn't around. Come on, YouTube. Hey, Shar, how you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. You're right, South by say. I can't talk a little shit, but sometimes it backfires on you. So I'm gonna, as they say, I'm gonna stay in my lane, and I'm just gonna present the facts. And the fact of the matter is, this kid just said out of his own mouth that they were the aggressors.
Of the years
for the Frisco Memorial, he was
second team all district, which he should have been first.
Yeah.
But it's just everyone knows around this area the impacts of what he does for football and what he does for families and friends. Like, he's just a great guy overall to be around, and
hard worker.
Extremely. It's just really hard. It's just really hard to see someone go like that.
Okay, again, folks, and I'll take this back to the character of the person that you're trying to describe to us is not the person that we now know that's deceased. Because if he was of good character and good moral fiber and all those good things that everybody respected him, that would have carried on to him extending grace to that young man that was sitting under that tent in the rain. Y'all feel me? Y'all with me on that? Am I wrong? Is that too far a stretch to say that what you're trying to paint your brother out to be is not necessarily the person that he was, nor you? Would it be fair to say that you two probably think because of your size at 17, 225, 230 pounds, that y'all thought y'all was big man on campus? Y'all remember that? I remember how that used to be. Like I said, I'll go all the way back You remember Back to the Future? You remember Biff? Biff would punch you just for walking. Biff would put you in. Y'all, matter of fact, let me bring it to the black neighborhoods. Everybody hates Chris. Chris had a bully that fucked with him unmercifully every chance he got. Hey there, grassroots and reparations. Well, again, I don't want to speak on the dad because I don't know enough about him. I don't know whether he was an ex-offender or not. I can't say, but I'll leave that just where it is. I'm sure that if he is, that'll eventually come out in the news. But my thing was, like so many times, and I agree with you, Sock Passe, when they said they wanted so bad for Karmelo Anthony to be a product of a single parent household, especially one led by a black woman. They would be ripping this kid apart. Tell me I'm wrong. Excuse me. But let's go back and let young Austin finish out here. I know we're getting close to my 2-hour time limit here, so let me run this past you right. Matter of fact, we've said enough about him. Let's move on to our last thing here, folks.
For this news conference to get underway again, this is on the Florida State University shooting. They are walking up to the podium here. I'm going to pop up the audio so we don't miss any of it.
Let me move this on just a little bit here.
Also been transported to a local hospital. The two deceased are not students.
I think I might have moved it a little bit too much there. Hold on just a second. I think we're about to get into this bright spot here. But again, folks, this tragedy just unfolded today at Florida State University. Another shooting. And here we have active seated members of Congress kissing Donald Trump's ass, talking about stoves, talking about appliances, talking about the border. But still, our kids that we send to school, were supposed to be one of the most safest places in the world, now has literally turned into a killing field. And the thing about this is this particular case, folks, you'll see. You'll see.
My name is Jason Trumbauer, and I'm the Chief of Police at Florida State University. All Florida State University classes and business operations on the main campus in Tallahassee are canceled through Friday, April 18th. Essential employees should check with their supervisors for further reporting instructions. All FSU athletic events in Tallahassee are canceled through Sunday. At approximately 11:50 a.m. Thursday, April 17th, a gunman opened fire on the main campus of Florida State University in Tallahassee, shooting multiple individuals in the vicinity of the Student Union building. FSU police responded immediately, engaged, neutralized, and apprehended the shooter. 2 victims are deceased, and 5 individuals have been transported to a local hospital with gunshot wounds. The shooter has also been transported to a local hospital. The 2 deceased are not students. The shooter is believed to be a current FSU student. I do not have additional information on the shooter's identity at this time. Students who need assistance can go to the Donald L. Tucker Center, where the university is providing counseling, health care, and other support services. Family members are also able to go to the Tucker Center for assistance. Students, faculty, and staff are asked to call their loved ones as soon as possible to update them on their status. The student union and the surrounding area is still considered an active crime scene. Individuals should avoid the area. Students should not return to the student union to retrieve personal property at this time. Students may return to their residence halls, but they should otherwise stay indoors on main campus to allow first responders and university staff to do their jobs and respond to those needing assistance. Students may depart campus for the weekend. All classes have been canceled through Friday. Before I turn this over to Chief Revel, I want to thank all the brave men and women of the FSU PD for responding immediately to the scene. I also want to thank the responding agencies who have provided assistance to FSU today, big time.
My apologies, folks, but I put the chop shop cover over it just in case. That way they can't say that I'm using direct footage here. So again, if you could have seen how choked up this man was, it's hard to stomach, folks, that you know that you just witnessed the death of two young people for absolutely no reason other than going to school. Absolutely no reason. Because someone woke up on the wrong side of the bed, or someone had been plotting for years or months or days just to go and harm some people because they had a bad day.
Including the Tallahassee Police Department, the Leon County Sheriff's Office, the Florida Highway Patrol, Leon County Emergency Medical Services, FDLE, and all other responding agencies today. We really appreciate your support. That's all the information I have at this time. We'll have additional update for you later today. Chief Revel.
Good afternoon. I am Chief Revel with the Tallahassee Police Department. As the shooting occurred today, our officers, as well as every single other officer in this city and county, responded immediately to this scene. Once on scene and once we began working through what was occurring and what we were working, in consultation with FSU, Tallahassee Police Department was asked to take lead on this. So we will be the lead for this investigation in both the officer involved shooting portion of this as well as the homicide. Any information that becomes available, we will make that available to you. One of the things in the process, and again, understand that this is an ongoing active investigation. So things are happening as we are standing here and as we are speaking. We have identified the shooter, obviously. He's at the hospital. So with more on that, I'm going to allow the sheriff to come up and speak on that portion of it.
Thank you, Chief. As Chief Revel indicated, I'm Walt McNeil, Leon County Sheriff. First and foremost, let me express our gratitude to the responding law enforcement agency. And he's a son of a Leon County Sheriff, and to make sure that we do what we can.
Okay, folks, there's a part coming up here I want you to listen very carefully about, okay?
To make sure we lock him or her up. Let me say to you, this is obviously a heinous crime. Our deepest condolences go out to the FSU family, the families of the students who are here. And we understand that you all have been devastated because of this person's actions. The question as relates to who is the shooter is 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner. And he's a son of a Leon County Sheriff deputy.
How's that going to work, folks? How will the news report this from now on? Because this just happened today. How would they shield that law enforcement official for what her or his son did? How will they keep that out of the news? Will they pry into her background to see if she has any priors, or where was the daddy, or where was this? Will they do any of that about this kid, this 20-year-old that went into a college campus and took the life of two children?
Our Deputy Eichner has been with the Leon County Sheriff's Office for over 18 years. She has a tremendous job that she's done. Her service to this community has been exceptional. Unfortunately, her son had access to one of her weapons, and that was one of the weapons that was found at the scene. And we are continuing that investigation into how that weapon was used. and what other weapons perhaps he may have had access to.
Okay, I just wanted to cover that part of it, folks. Now, understand something. We're talking about law enforcement officials. What is the protocol to making sure that your 20-year-old or your 13-year-old, your 14-year-old or your 5-year-old or your 10-year-old don't get a hold of your service revolver? Because that's basically what he's saying. Whether he didn't want to come straight out and say it or not. The son got a hold of the service revolver and he went out and took some folks out with it. How would they address that in the media? How? Again, folks, I'm running out of time here, so what I'll do is I'll cover Letitia James in our next episode. We'll talk about her a little bit more. I really wanted to get to it. As a matter of fact, I think I'll just extend this, folks, because I got to get to this. I saved the best for last, so I'm not gonna. No, I gotta get this. I gotta let y'all hear this. So let me remove this. Let me remove this. And let me slide on over here. And I want y'all to hear what I've been saying all night long, that there's absolutely no way around racism in this country. I know it. Letitia James knows it. And there's a whole lot of you folks out there that know it, but won't admit to it. Because we inherently look for the good in everybody. But Donald Trump and his cronies, listen to what they're doing, folks.
Welcome back to Reflect Politics. My name is Brendan Plank. If you're unfamiliar or new to the channel, welcome. Before we get into Letitia James' speech, I want to point out that James is about to give us an education on the levels of racism and bigotry coming from Donald Trump and his cabinet in this second term. Now, if you're watching this video, you probably have a good understanding of how racist Donald Trump and his cronies are, but I guarantee you that Letitia James is going to leave your jaw on the floor. But she is going to pick it back up and leave you with a very inspiring message that I think is going to light a fire in you. Now, this speech took place at the National Action Network. If you want to donate.
Hey, Zahara, how you doing? How you doing? Always a pleasure. Yeah, Jalen, I say the best for last. So, folks, if you don't know the channel, make sure you get over and let me go ahead and put it up on the screen here so you can actually see it. Let me slide up here. Hold on just a second. Again, thank everybody for tuning in. I'm just going to wind down with this epic takedown by Letitia James. Sure, y'all check it out. And if you hear the gentleman that's talking right now, you can go over to that channel right there. It says Reflect. Just type that in your browser, your YouTube browser. And I would suggest you go over and like, share, and subscribe to that particular channel. Big shout out to ABT for pointing it out to me. I appreciate you. Appreciate you. Well, let's get on back to it there, folks. Here we go. Let me slide back down here. Well, yeah, Letitia, go ahead and finish eating them up.
Linked their link to donate down below in the description while you're watching this video. And be sure to leave your reflections in the comments below and like this video so that you can bring as many people and other perspectives as possible into the conversation and get Letitia James' speech and these remarks in front of as many eyeballs as possible, because this is the message. This is the level of fire that we need moving forward, not only under Donald Trump, but in our democracy, in our politics, in the progressive movement. So without further ado, here's Letitia James.
So let me just say a few words, because let me apologize to all of the honorees. I have to leave right after I speak. Why? One, because as you know, yesterday they fired thousands of HHS workers, and they also have stopped all of these grants. And one of the grants that they've stopped, which is close to my heart, is Head Start grants. And what I heard from my beloved Bedford-Stuyvesant is centers are closing. Region 2, which covers New York, is closed. All of the workers in Region 2, again, that covers Head Start, have been fired, terminated. The HEAP grants for individuals who need assistance with heat during the winter. That has been dismantled. So I've got to rush back to the office because you know that there's nothing more close to my heart than a lawsuit. And so you tell Donald Trump the lawsuit's coming. It's just a matter of hours. It's coming. And so it's great to be in here amongst so many friends and so many kindred spirits to promote a modern civil rights agenda, an agenda that includes one standard of justice for all people and social equity for all communities. There is something powerful than being in a room full of dynamic and change-making women, because as we all know that there's nothing more dangerous than a woman with a made-up mind. In my mind,
I'll just say this, Letitia. There's nothing more dangerous to this particular part of white America than a smart black woman or a smart black man. Because that's why they're bringing this so-called suit against you now, because you, as a black woman, dare stand up to Donald Trump. Dare stand up to him. That's right. This is the modern-day civil rights era, folks. And I like to liken this to football, since a lot of y'all like playing football and watching things. There's a time that you're a player, and there's a time that you're a coach, and there's a time you become a general manager. I'm far past being a player, and I've coached for quite some time. It's time for you folks to step up and stop being the players and start being the coaches, because they're not going to let up. They're absolutely not going to let up on us, folks. This is an all-out assault on black greatness, whether you like it or not. And if y'all don't stand up, if your young people don't stand up, I'll take the words from Marlon Wayans when I say this. I got more days behind me than I have ahead. But a lot of y'all can't say that. Well, hope you can't say that. You in your 20s, in your 30s, and in your 40s. Y'all better step up. Because if you go back to them pictures of the civil rights era, those weren't grown men and women out there getting bit by those dogs. Those were teenagers. Those were 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds. Where y'all at now?
my mind is made up. Women who have stepped into their power. Women who show up, speak up, and fight back. Not just for themselves, but for their families, their communities, and future generations. Women who know that progress is not promised, but fought for. Our nation, as imperfect as it is, was brought into the modern world, the very concept of equality under the law. We were founded as a nation of laws, where each and every citizen would be protected by the law, but also would be subject to it, and that includes the President of the United States. And as we see efforts to change that noble history, it is incumbent upon all of us in this room, to step up and to speak out. The Constitution laid out clear guidelines on how to run our government, on how to protect our most basic rights, and on how to ensure against tyranny. Especially now, as we see the new administration in Washington on a literal rampage of lawlessness, cruelty, aggressiveness, and overt bigotry, reducing the depth and breadth of our federal government. Our standing across the globe has been diminished, and our economy is tanking right now. The purposeful destruction of our Constitution as we know it, with rapidity and intentionality. A nation whose very existence is predicated upon beliefs of checks and balances within our government. And yet, we are seeing Republican members of Congress acquiesce, capitulate, bow down, cooperate, ignore their responsibilities and their duties. And typically this includes attacks on the concept of fairness and equality and living together and thriving in a pluralistic, multiracial democracy, one founded on respected diversity. Willful Republicans standing feckless, emancipated, The Trump administration is systematically dismantling fought civil rights gains at the United States Supreme Court, demanding states throughout this country erase our authentic experiences as Black Americans from school textbooks and from museums and cultural institutions all across this country. He issued an executive order ending 60 years of protection against racial discrimination in federal contracting and hired. In DOJ, he purged the database that tracked federal police misconduct, erasing the records of all police terminations, abuse, and civil rights violations. The administration announced recently that HUD, Housing and Urban Development, is cutting the program that fights home appraisal bias. The United States Department of Agriculture suspended the college scholarship program from students from rural and underserved backgrounds who attend HBCUs. The administration recently announced it will no longer require federal contractors to uphold government prohibitions against segregation in the workplace. And he's erasing the public display of Black war heroes in public places of honor and respect throughout our military. And you know, most recently, Donald Trump has dismantled the Department of Education, which protects all of our public school children, equal and civil rights, and so much more. And have we seen just yesterday and most recently the purging of the federal government, which disproportionately impacts Black women and women in particular. Cuts to Medicaid. The privatization of Social Security is coming. And last week, Trump announced the anticipated voter protection bill, the SAVE Act, which is nothing more than a voter suppression bill, risking the disenfranchisement of millions of eligible citizens. And let's not forget the fear that's gripping immigrants who have fallen in my arms, afraid of going to school, going to work, going to church, going to court. And this chaos, this disruption is deliberate. It's an attempt to demoralize you and to wear you down. But all of us who believe in the promise of America, who want a society built on the rule of law and who are committed to equal justice, responsible for speaking out, resisting, and using every available tool at our disposal to protect our fragile democracy. And I can think of no better partner than with Nan and I and a coalition of attorneys general, 23 of us strong all across this nation. We've been working to fight and defend America's rights from the onslaught by the Trump administration, to oppose the manipulation and the reinterpretation of our laws and our Constitution, and we have been winning. We filed legal actions, lawsuits, briefs to combat President Trump's illegal efforts, winning temporary restraining orders, preliminary injunctions, one after one after one, because we were ready. We anticipated this. And each and every day he files an illegal executive order, we strike back. And so as the Attorney General of this great state, I want you to know that we are prepared to battle to save our democracy, to not sit idly by while he ushers in a totalitarian form of government. Because democracy, my friends, requires courage. And courage runs through our DNA as a people. And we may encounter defeats, but we will not be defeated. So in the spirit of our ancestors, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Ida B. Wells, and Hazel Dukes, we will not bow, we will not break, and we will not bend. We will be fearless and fight on, because we are fighting a righteous and a noble cause, because fighting is part of our history. It's part of our story. And some of the strongest souls have emerged, seared with scars and bloodied, but we still fight on. They never bowed. They fought on in honor of our ancestors, in honor of all of their sacrifice. We've got to fight on. And all of the progress that we have made, we must fight on. Because I refuse to surrender my rights. Fight on, because I've been trained by adversity and tried by fire, because I'm from Brooklyn. Because I'm a part of a fellowship of fighters. Fight on, because I won't slow down. I won't back up. And you can rest assured that I won't shut up either. My mission is clear. I'm focused. I'm prepared. I'm ready. I've been trained by the best. I went to Howard University that overturned legal segregation in this country. I've been taught in those classrooms where Thurgood Marshall once taught. I'm not afraid of no president. Donald Trump, we're ready for you. We're coming for you. We're standing up for you. We're fighting on. We're not going down silent. Victory, my friends, is clear. It's now. And I'm not waiting 4 years. I'm waiting 2 until a speaker by the name of Hakeem Jeffries comes to bring us some rest. Come on, ladies. It's up to us. We saved this democracy before. We'll save it now. Let's go.
Was she lying? Was she lying, folks? Absolutely not. They saved black women, saved this democracy before. You can disagree. You can disagree with me all you want to, but we can go throughout the history of this country and find the remarkable things that black women did. And not because someone said do it, because they had the wherewithal to get it done. Too many times I hear our own black men trying to diminish the accomplishments and the greatness of black women. I hear Anton Daniels over there literally just disparaging black women at the drop of a hat. I hear some of these other black women, even some black women, disparaging Kamala Harris like she's a nobody. But then you'll uplift a Donald Trump. You'll uplift a Marjorie Taylor Greene. You'll uplift a Lauren Boebert. And you'll call these black women like Jasmine Crockett. You'll call them DEI hires. But look what we got up in front of us. Look what we got in front of us. Well, folks, again, there's nothing I need to say about Letitia's, James's speech other than she's absolutely right. And if you don't get on the bandwagon, folks, you too will be swept under the rug. You too. Because if you don't know, Donald Trump is making it possible with other countries. He's making deals with other countries. If you are a criminal, that he'll send you over there. I don't forget the angry man, but he's a main culprit. He is. He is one of those guys that no matter what you say about angry man, he will always have something disparaging to say about black women. I expect that from him, and I don't expect anything less. So I'm tired of flapping my gums about the angry man. I'm tired of flapping my gums about BGS and a few of the other folks that in them circle jerks about who's right and who's wrong, or what black women did right or wrong today. Y'all hold on just 1 second, please. All right, there. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I got a little bit distracted. Miss Jalen, you asked me for my Cash App. There it is right there. Folks, if you want to support the show, that's totally up to you. You'll never hear me ask for a donation or anything like that. All I ask in return is that you like, share, and subscribe. Again, if you leave me a comment, that's fine. I don't mind. I don't mind if I'm wrong about something. I don't mind you pointing it out. If I said something wrong or I said something to offend someone, you're welcome to leave me a comment. But understand, if you leave me a nasty gram, I will leave one back. Okay, just know that. But anyway, folks, I'll be live again tomorrow. I'm not exactly sure what'll be on the menu. I might do a LRN, a loose nigga roundup. I don't know. I think I've collected enough information about that one Anton Daniels that I'll break out some of the shit that he said about us as a community. Another one of those folks that live in the island of misfits and delusional. Quite delusional when it comes to who we are and what we are. But anyway, folks, I'm gonna get on up out of here. Thank y'all so very much. I know, like I said, normally keep this around 2 hours, but I want to get everything out, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. One more thing, if you folks are interested, I got a couple of DJs over there. If you're into house music, you can go over to Classic R&B Jams Radio. Let me drop the website link down in the chat room there. And got a couple house DJs over there now that should be live. DJ Dreadhead said, the House of Brooks, DJ Broken, and Miss Unassuming. So if you're into that type of music, folks, I suggest you come on over and take a listen to the House of Brooks and DJ Dreadhead said. But anyway, with that, folks, thank y'all so very much. Be safe, and I'll check y'all out next time.